Good morning, Amanda. I've left him in bed this morning, so it's just me. So I'm trying to work out all this different technology, what I have to do, and it's like, So I'm just trying to pull up um, this form that I said we'd go through. So you'll just have to bear with me a moment because I am running a little bit behind. I haven't even brushed my hair yet because he's still in bed. Sorry, Amanda. Bonus, I can make it really big. How many have we got in today? So there's two. I don't know if there's going to be a few sore heads this morning after the football round here. But I know Torb was up quite late. Morning, Andy. So I've left him in bed. Live on my own. I've been up a while because Bella decided to come and greet me this morning. Usually she wakes Torbs up, but this morning it was my turn. So I woke up with loads of dog kisses, and then she put her head on mine as if to say, "Please get up, Mum." So, but I thought it'd be nice and let him have a sleep in because he's not been sleeping great. And I have received a message from Mr. Beautiful Blue asking if we could do the quiz tonight because he's not feeling too great this morning. So I said that I would. So I hope you guys don't mind. So we'll do a quiz, but I might just make it a general knowledge quiz. Good morning, UK Transparency. Hope you're okay. Morning, Nutter. Oh, first Nutter raid. Woohoo! So yeah, Torbs is still in bed. I was just telling everyone. And tonight at 8 we'll do a quiz because Mr. Beautiful Blues isn't feeling too great this morning. And I know he loves a good quiz, and he missed the first one and he was a bit gutted. So I said we'll wait for him for the quiz. But rather than just specifically mental health and drug addiction, I might do a bit of a general knowledge one, make it something a little bit different, do something like more normal. 'Cause it can be good fun as well, can't it? Morning, David. Morning, Smokey. Morning, Gregory. So you're my first solo today. It's a bit nerve-wracking. Yeah, we'll save it for tonight. I'll get a good one. In fact, I've got a Trivial Pursuit somewhere. I could just read the questions off that. Save myself some work. Woohoo! And I know, was it Smokey Joe? Was it you who wanted to do something on relapse? Because I've pulled that up as well, and it's quite interesting. I did attempt to do it once before, but with Tobbs interrupting, I only got to the third piece on it. So hopefully we can get a bit further today if I'm solo. So what I like to do is we'll start from the beginning just in case there's some people here that weren't here for the first run. Um, it's called the relapse syndrome, and it's the phases and warning signs of relapse. And this was created by Terence Gorski and Marlene Miller. Now, Terence Gorski does some amazing things on addiction. If you've never heard of him, I really suggest you look him up because he's done some amazing pieces of work around addiction. And what he's figured out is everybody thinks of a relapse as like an event, where usually if you break it down and really look at it, there's a lot of warning signs that lead up to you picking that drink or drug. So he's kind of broke it down, into different phases, what lead up to a relapse. So it's really useful for anybody in recovery, because if you can catch it before you actually get to that point where you want to pick up, jobs are good and nip it in the bud, so to speak. So what I will do, I think I'll also do this now, so I know that I've done it, because technology and me don't get along too great when I'm trying to multitask. I'll put the link out as well. So if I read phase one, and then we can discuss it as a group. Has anyone got any experience? What does that bring up for you? What does that mean for you? So phase, you'll have to excuse me because I'm reading from another laptop down here, my work laptop. So phase one, the return of denial. During this phase, the addict becomes unable to recognise and honestly tell others what she is thinking or feeling. The most common symptoms are concern about well-being. The addict feels uneasy, afraid and anxious. At times she is afraid of not being able to stay drug-free. This uneasiness comes and goes and usually lasts only a short time. Denial of the concern. In order to tolerate these periods of worry, fear and anxiety, the addict ignores or denies these feelings in the same way she had at other times denied being an addict. The denial may be so strong that there is no awareness while it is happening. Even when there is awareness of the feelings, they are often forgotten as soon as the feelings are gone. It is only when the addict thinks back about the situation later that she is able to recognise the feelings of anxiety and the denial of those feelings. So, has anybody got any experience of denial? For me, a good way to think of denial, because it can be really, really powerful, is don't even know I am lying. And that is pretty true, because we see, morning Lordy, we see so many people in denial, and it doesn't even have to be about substance misuse, It can be a coping mechanism for some. As I was saying yesterday, I think it was, sometimes I can disassociate, and, that's kind of me being in denial a little bit, denying how I'm feeling because they're too uncomfortable. But I'm aware of that, and it's all stuff to work on. So are you familiar with denial, Smokey? Because it is really powerful, isn't it? See, it's times like this I need me wingman, because I never know what to say in the in between times. So different when you're talking to a computer screen, isn't it? I thought that was him getting up then, but it's Bella. I can hear the clip clop. Hey, baby girl. So should we go on to phase two? Obviously, I will put this in the Discord as well, in the resource section, for people to look at it. Oh, sorry, Amanda.
I've only just arrived. Love. I thought I'd come in.
I thought, oh my God, I left you there for ages.
No, love, I've only just arrived, but I thought I'd come in to be a standing wingman.
Yes. Save me.
Bless you. I think you're doing really well, Mrs. Tubbs.
Thank you. Well, you're doing it on your own, though. It really is.
Morning, Jade. Hope you're all right, lovely.
Morning, Jade.
Morning, call me anything. Smoky, Lordy, UK Transparency. Yeah, denial is quite a strong mental health because
Yeah.
I don't think it's about depression. I think it's, I don't know, you're not being true to yourself, are you? I think we've all been down that road with certain aspects, not everybody.
And that's what I mean. Denial doesn't have to be related to substance misuse or mental health. I think anybody's capable of that denial. You know, I know.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
You
I think
know.
sometimes when we, take a little time to think about it, because certain things play on your mind, don't they? And we, then reassess the whole thing and then go through it and think, yeah, there is something there or whatever.
Well, if you have got mental health, you never really assess it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you've got mental health problems, you don't really reassess that because, I don't know, you don't feel it's a problem. Not always.
But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it can be a coping mechanism, you know, because I know when I get certain feelings that I feel are unbearable at the time, you know, I can just
You switch
deny
off,
them and
don't you?
disassociate and like pretend they're not happening. And for me, that's become a bit of an unhealthy coping mechanism. But then I kind of realise what I'm doing and then get back to it. But I think for a period of time when the feelings are really overwhelming, it is a bit of a coping mechanism for me, but a really
Yeah,
unhealthy one. But I think because I'm aware I do that, I can kind of catch myself doing it now and try and change it and come back into the moment.
but that's a good thing though that you notice that you're doing it and can change things. Because I
It took
think,
a while.
but carrying it on and on and on, you're not being really true to yourself. It's not about everybody else, is it? It's about being true to yourself.
Like I know when I was off work and I got signed off work with my mental health, and I've never really suffered that badly. But obviously, I had periods of depression and a lot of stress and stuff. But this year it was like on a different level. I've never experienced anything like it. And thankfully, I work with somebody who used to be a mental health social worker
Yeah,
and he can explain stuff to me in a really simplified way. And the penny just dropped that, like, while I was off sick, I was just completely disassociating with everything and convinced myself that everything was all right. And then I realised it wasn't. And it was like, oh my God, I've just been living in cloud cuckoo land for the past month and a half. But I didn't realise how much time had passed either. It was quite scary.
yeah, I think it can be, especially when, I don't know, something happens traumatic. I think you do.
Yeah, and that's how he kind of explained it. It was like your brain can't cope with them emotions at that particular time, so you disassociate till you get to a time when you are able to cope with them.
Yeah, I mean,
It can.
sorry.
So I was just going to say, but it can become quite unhealthy.
Yeah, Andy W said there's little things, them little things can be big things and they get confused with the true things and others can suffer. So
Yeah,
very true, Andy. So very true. Yeah, I'm glad you're okay, Jade. And if you're not stopping long, it doesn't matter. However,
you take it out on the one below.
the thing is, you can always watch it back.
exactly.
Oh yeah, and with mental health, you always take it out on the ones that you love. You just don't realise it at the time.
Yeah, I think it's so much harder to see somebody else as well going through it than it is yourself. You know,
Yeah,
because you know you're helpless with it. All you can do is be there, and that's. I know that's Darren. He hates it when I'm like going through something. 'Cause he's one of them people who just wants to fix everything, and when he can't, it really does affect him. You know, quite
yeah.
bad, and he doesn't get that just being there is enough.
hmm
You know, it's like addiction and mental health is stuff that the individual has to work through with the support around them. You know, nobody can come and wave that magic wand or give you that fairy dust or whatever and make it all okay. It's a work in progress.
Exactly. So very true. And everybody, I don't know, learns and does things in different ways to help them. There's no specific. I mean, you can give people ideas, I suppose, on different coping mechanisms and various help, but one helps one person doesn't always help another, does it? Or
Exactly.
you
And
know,
yeah, so that UK transparency does sound like that disassociation that I'm talking about.
yeah, done it myself.
I shouldn't really laugh at that one, Andy W. Morning, Ralphie lad. It just sounds a bit ironic, doesn't it? I know somebody, we're talking about denial. I know somebody who should watch this, but they're in denial. Like, quite amused me, shall we say? But I think that's it. I think, as serious as this subject is, it's important to laugh at ourselves and stuff along the way. You know, like quite often when I'm talking out, like about something really awful, I find myself laughing because I think, oh my God, was that really me? All these stupid little things that we do, because I am a great believer in humour being quite healthy and can help you deal with the situation. Sweet, I've got my phone there and all the comments are like coming up faster there than there. It's very strange.
It usually is. Take care, Jade. Have a lovely day.
Bye, Jade. Have a good day.
She's going to watch it back later, I think, when she's got some time. I think she's quite good with a routine and she sticks to that to keep herself going. Bless her. Doing amazing anyway.
She's doing fantastic. Our little superstar. So, shall we move on to phase 2? So, phase 2, avoidance and defensive behaviour. During this phase, the addict doesn't want to think about anything that will cause the painful and uncomfortable feelings to come back. As a result, she begins to avoid anything or anybody that will force an honest look at self. When asked direct questions about well-being, she tends to become defensive. The most common symptoms are believing I'll never use again. The addict convinces self that she will never use again, and sometimes will tell this to others, but usually keeps it to self. Many are afraid to tell their counsellors or other fellowship members about this belief. When the addict firmly believes she will never use again, the need for a daily recovery program seems less important. Worry about others instead of self. The addict becomes more concerned with the recovery of others than with personal recovery. She doesn't talk directly about these concerns, but privately judges the recovery programs of other recovering persons. In the fellowship, this is called working somebody else's program. So that the next one is defensiveness. The addict has a tendency to defend when talking about personal problems, feelings of her recovery program, even when no defense is necessary. Compulsive behaviour. The addict becomes compulsive, stuck or fixed or rigid in the way she thinks and behaves. There is a tendency to do the same things over and over again without a good reason. There is a tendency to control conversations either by talking too much or not talking at all. She tends to work more than needed, becomes involved in many activities, and may appear to be the model of recovery because of heavy involvement in fellowship 12-step work. For example, chairing meetings. She is often a leader in counselling groups by playing therapist. Casual or informal involvement with people, however, is avoided. Impulsive behaviour. Sometimes the rigid behaviour is interrupted by actions taken without thought or self-control. This usually happens at times of high stress. Sometimes these impulsive actions cause the addict to make decisions that seriously damage his/her life and recovery program. And tendencies towards loneliness. The addict begins to spend more time alone. She usually has good reason and excuse for staying away from other people. These periods of being alone begin to occur more and more often, and the addict begins to feel more and more lonely. Instead of dealing with the loneliness by trying to meet and be around other people, he or she becomes more compulsive and impulsive. So I know for me, I'm terribly guilty of that isolation. You know, if I'm kind of feeling bad, I do isolate, and I am very impulsive, um, without thinking like about the rest of the week. You know, like it's like trying to fix how you feel on the inside with external things. So I won't think rationally about, well, I've got this amount of money to last X amount of time. It's like, oh, I like the look of that, I'll buy it, and then think, oh God, I haven't got enough money for the rest of the week. What am I going to do? You know, it's, you know, I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I used to be really, really bad for it. You know, that impulsive buying. And I know the first one, no, which one was it? Yeah, the first one, you know, when people come up to me and say, I'm never going to use again, I'm never going to do it again, it always like gets me worried. You know, it's good that they've got that positivity, but you know, the amount of times I've had people come up to me after they've first got clean, if you like, you know, and they're saying, I'm never going to do this again. It's like, it's a bit too soon to be saying that, you know, and it's about I have to drum it into them, still do this, still do that, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm never going to do it again, I feel great, and then they stop coming to everything that was keeping them well, and then they end up drinking again and coming back through the system, and it's heartbreaking.
I can imagine.
So is everything okay with Bumblebee? Sorry, I was reading there.
I'm not sure. She's going live at 4, she said. And once she's done that, she's got an important message that needs to be heard, and then she's leaving social media at midnight. I don't understand why she needs to leave social media unless somebody or something on social media that's causing her a problem, and I hope it really isn't. And if you need to reach out, Bumblebee, then I think you need to maybe reach out to somebody.
Hope you're okay, Bumblebee. Sorry, I was just reading that. I kind of missed you coming in. I do apologise. And what we're doing today is the relapse syndrome. It's by Terence Gorski, and it takes you through the warning signs of a relapse. So what I kind of do is read a phase, and then like we'll discuss it as a group. You know, if anybody's got any experience or anything like that, then please do share your experience. What's the dog's doing? Oh, she's going out. Right. Hey, Bilbo.
So I'm just reading the chat, sorry.
It's all right, I am too. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I don't know whether I said morning to you, Ralph, lad. I do apologise if I didn't, sorry.
I know, and I do apologise for the to the chat for not reading as much as I normally do because I'm trying to read this as well, and it's
So I'm trying to keep my eye on that, read it, and keep myself muted while you're reading it. Right, you're doing your reading thing.
it's quite difficult, isn't it?
It is first thing in the morning when you sort of just got up. I don't normally get up this late, but I don't know. Must have needed it. That's all I can say.
I think it's been a difficult week, hasn't it? So, and I think we're all feeling it.
Morning again, Nutter. I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. I think it's probably because I needed it, but after getting up, I really shouldn't have.
And I didn't want to get out of bed, but Bella made me. You know, when you could really just do with a sleep in.
Yeah, can you
About
imagine?
7, I think.
Oh no, mine's a bit neck. She gets some bit covers. And even if I get up at stupid o'clock, she will stay there.
See, normally she sleeps in a crate, but the crate must have been left open, so she came up and started kissing me at 7:30 and then jumped on the bed and put her head on my head and kept kissing me till I got up. I'm like, right, I'm up.
I've got one of them crates. It only goes in there when I have to go out. It seems to have appeared into my bed at night time.
You see, Buster always sleeps in bed. And we try with Bella, but I think if I'm in on my own, she'll sleep in the bed. Like if Darren's away or something. But if Darren's there, she can't sleep in the bed. I think like he's talking and that annoys her. So she'll either go and jump in with Kingston or go downstairs. But the crate's just like left open all the time and it's got beds in that in it, so even Buster will go in there during the day. And he hated it at first, but now he just goes in it. Quite funny. Right, so phase 3 is crisis building. During this phase, the addict begins experiencing a sequence of life problems that are caused by denying personal feelings, isolating and neglecting the recovery program. Even though she wants to solve these problems and works hard at it, 2 new problems pop up to replace every problem that's solved. The most common symptoms are tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is seeing only a small part of life and not being able to see the big picture. The addict looks at life as being made up of separate, unrelated parts. She focuses on one part without looking at the other parts or how they are related. Sometimes this creates the mistaken belief that everything is secure and going well. At other times, this results in seeing only what is going wrong. Small problems are blown up out of proportion. When this happens, the addict comes to believe she is being treated unfairly and has no power to do anything about it. Minor depression. Symptoms of depression begin to appear and persist. The person feels down, blue, listless, empty of feelings, oversleeping becomes common. She is able to distract self from these moods by getting busy with other things and not talking about the depression. Loss of constructive planning. The addict stops planning each day in the future. She often mistakes the slogan "one day at a time" to mean that one shouldn't plan or think about what she is going to do less and less. Attention is paid to details. She becomes listless. Plans are based more on wishful thinking, how the addict wishes things would be rather than how things really are. Plans begin to fail because she makes plans that are not realistic and does not pay attention to details. Plans begin to fail. Each failure causes new life problems. Some of these problems are similar to the problems that had occurred during using. She often feels guilty and remorseful when the problems occur. So I don't know about everybody else, but I am terrible for that tunnel vision. You know, when things are going wrong, you know, and only looking at this problem and forgetting all the good things that are going on. And for me, that's where all the gratitude lists and stuff come into play as well. Because if I'm only focused on the negative, I miss all that good stuff that's going on as well. And it has been really, really useful for me, while I've been suffering with my depression and stuff. Because it's so easy to just sit in that big black hole, and not look at everything positive that you're doing and then positive influences that you have, because there is something positive in every day. I think the dogs have gone and walked Kingston up now. There's my washing machine playing a song.
Oh, lovely.
It's quite funny. There's a little tune to let you know it's finished. Yeah, I'm the same, Andy W. And everybody would tell me what I'd done the night before. It was awful. And I used to say, if I can't remember, it didn't happen. While I'm like cringing on the inside.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Some of them moments.
Yeah, and I literally had no recollection of anything towards the end of me drinking, and it was awful. Anything could have happened, and I'd be like none the wiser, and that's quite a scary thought, actually.
It is when you think about it now, because it's not that bit that's missing. It's like, what happened?
Exactly.
Then I think about it, and it's like, oh, you send yourself into that spiral, don't you?
Exactly.
All sorts of things.
Not good. Not good at all.
So now, I choose not to drink. I suppose if I wanted one, I would be able to have one, but I don't know. Just don't interest me. It's not something that I really want to do. You know what I mean?
No, that's Kingston Ralphie, lad. The dogs have gone and walking him up as well, I think. Nobody's allowed to sleep when the dogs are awake, apart from Tots. He'll sleep through anything. He could sleep on a washing line, that man. I swear down.
And Andy W's put in there Frank Gallagher is real.
Yeah.
He probably is somewhere. There's probably loads of Frank Gallaghers. Do you know what I mean?
I think I was the female version. But be right. It is what it is, and I can't change the past. But for me, doing things like this kind of helps me, turn all them negative situations into a positive.
It's like what we do in front, because that's the forward thinking to make a difference. Whether that's a small thing or a massive thing.
Just trying to get Kingston to throw stones now. Crazy for stones, that dog.
You're busted.
Yeah. He just stands there and cries for you to throw stones for him. They both love it. But he makes some strange noises, Buster. Some very strange noises. I've never known a dog make as many noises as him. It's ridiculous. And I've got to keep the back door open for him, and it's bloody freezing.
Yeah, I've got a collector. She collects everything and just makes a pile of it.
Yeah.
I'd rather choose it. See you later, Nutter. Have a good day, mate. Exactly.
Choose life. Right, phase 4, immobilisation. During this phase, the addict is totally unable to initiate action. She goes through the motions of living, but is controlled by life rather than controlling her life. And the most common symptoms are daydreaming and wishful thinking. It becomes more difficult to concentrate. The if only syndrome becomes more common in conversation. The addict begins to have fantasies of escaping or being rescued from it all by an event unlikely to happen. Feelings that nothing can be solved. A sense of failure begins to develop. The failure may be real or it may be imagined. Small failures are exaggerated and blown out of proportion. The belief that I've tried my best and recovery isn't working begins to develop. Immature wish to be happy. A vague desire to be happy or things to work out develops without the person identifying what is necessary to be happy or have things work out. Magical thinking is used, wishing things to get better without doing anything to make them better. See, I'm terrible for all of them. It used to be a little joke with me and like this girl who I went to a lot of meetings with, where I'd just like daydream and go off into this place of magical thinking where everything was great, and terrible for it, absolutely terrible. But again, I think when feelings are intense, it can be a bit of an unhealthy coping strategy as well. Just till you feel strong enough to deal with whatever you're going through at the time. But it's about keeping yourself in check with that and making sure you're not just wishing everything to change. You are actually putting the action in as well. Because for me, that's the important thing. You can't think or read or anything yourself. Well, it's got to be about the action you put in. See, I don't know if Kingston's talking to himself or Darren now.
I shouldn't worry about it too much. My son does it all the time.
Oh, he's terrible. Terrible for it. I've never known anybody talk to themselves the way Kingston does. I'm like, who's he talking to? And I'll go in and he's just sat there waffling on to himself. It's like, oh my God.
Don't really fall out with yourself too much, though, can you? Well, I suppose you can on occasion. Come on.
It's ridiculous. Oh, excuse me. So, phase 5, confusion and overreaction. During this period, the addict can't think clearly. She becomes upset with self and others, becomes irritable and overreacts to small things. So, periods of confusion become more frequent that last longer and cause more problems. The addict often feels angry with self because of the inability to figure things out. Irritation with friends. Relationships become strained with friends, family, counsellors, fellowship members. The addict feels threatened when these people talk about the changes in behaviour and mood that are becoming apparent. The conflicts continue to increase in spite of the addict's efforts to resolve them. The addict begins to feel guilty and remorseful about her role in these conflicts. Easily angered. The addict experiences episodes of anger, frustration, resentment, irritability for no real reason. Overreaction to small things becomes more frequent. Stress and anxiety increase.
What time is it?
It is 11:15.
What time do you get me up?
Because you didn't come to bed till late, so I thought I'd just crack on.
What time do I come to bed?
I haven't got a clue.
I come to bed with you.
You did?
Oh no, I sat and watched the telly, didn't I?
Torbs is awake.
We can tell.
So I've lost where I was now. Overreaction to small things becomes more frequent. Stress and anxiety increase because of the fear that overreaction might result in violence.
I've got that.
The efforts to control self adds to stress and tension. So that's obviously, when you're doing your reflections and stuff, it's important that you kind of keep yourself in check and ask yourself, is this a overreaction? Am I like misjudging this situation? Do I have to own my part in it? Blah blah blah. Because obviously these are all warning symptoms that can lead you up to the relapse. So at any of these points, if you can catch yourself, you can pull yourself back, before you actually pick up. So phase 6, depression. During this period, the addict becomes depressed that she has difficulty keeping to normal routines. At times, there may be thoughts of suicide, using or drinking as a way to end the depression. The depression is severe and persistent and cannot be easily ignored or hidden from others. And the most common symptoms are irregular eating habits. The addict begins overeating or undereating. There is weight gain or loss. She stops having meals at regular times and replaces well-balanced, nourishing diet with junk food. Lack of desire to take action. There are periods when the addict is unable to get started or get anything done. At those times, she is unable to concentrate, feels anxious, fearful and uneasy, and often feels trapped with no way out. Irregular sleeping habits. The addict has difficulty sleeping and is restless and fitful when sleep does occur. Sleep is often marked by strange and frightening dreams. Because of exhaustion, she may sleep for 12 to 20 hours at a time. These sleeping marathons may happen as often as every 6 to 15 days. I wish I could sleep that long. Loss of daily structure. Daily routine becomes haphazard. The addict stops getting up and going to bed at regular times. Sometimes she is unable to sleep, and this results in oversleeping. At other times,
Fucking swear down, I wouldn't dig his fuck out there. Should say Bella. She won't even look at me in the window.
now the disruptions begin.
Just got up, man.
I know, but I'm in the middle of a session and you're like being very disruptive.
Sorry. My stomach's killing me.
Completely lost where I was now. So daily routine becomes haphazard. The addict stops getting up and going to bed at regular times. Sometimes she is unable to sleep. This results in oversleeping at other times. Regular meal times are discontinued, and it becomes more difficult to keep appointments and plan social events.
I don't know what's wrong with me again, man, I swear down.
Why don't you go?
I'm going to start. I am going to take me a map was on,
Well, you might want to start.
I'm not say one now. It might make me worse, mightn't it?
The addict feels rushed and overburdened at times and then has nothing to do at other times. She is unable to follow through on plans and decisions and experiences tension, frustration, fear or anxiety that keep her from doing what needs to be done. Periods of deep depression. The addict feels depressed more often. The depression becomes worse, lasts longer, and interferes with living. The depression is so bad that it is noticed by others and cannot be easily denied. The depression is most severe during unplanned or unstructured periods of time. Fatigue, hunger and loneliness make the depression worse. When the addict feels depressed, she separates from other people, becomes irritable and angry with others, and often complains that nobody cares or understands what she is going through. So,
Morning, guys. I haven't said morning, have I?
say good morning to
Good
everyone.
morning, guys. We need to change our name on there, don't we? Yeah. Gorgeous show, by the way. Okay. I'm settled in now. I'm strapped in. I'm going to shut up, man. I'm going to make the smoke after the
So,
fucking show.
you,
No, man. I'm not going out there throwing stones. I've just fucking got up, man.
Buster, chill. So for me, this is all about your daily routine. You know, when you start to notice.
The dogs are going to bark. Sorry, Dad. I can't help it, man. Let the boss out. Ollie, come on.
So when you notice like your routine going amiss, you know, it's time to kind of reevaluate. So I'm a great believer in that routine and you know doing things in order. And it sounds like as if that's going to make much of an impact, but it does. And that's one thing that they do try and instill in you when you go to a place like rehab is
No, what he's just done to me, little
what?
bastard. I'm not doing that no more. You can fuck off it. When he jumps up and fucking grabs you around with his paws, around the leg, he fucking stabbed me with his claws, man.
Jesus, Alec.
Oh no, that's nothing now.
Yeah, morning, Tubbs.
Morning, Amanda. Morning, Chris. Is Chris there as well?
Yes, love.
Morning.
Morning, Chris. Hope you're alright, mate.
Aye, not bad. Not bad.
Good, that's what we like the way you are, man. So what you doing anyway? I don't even know what you're doing.
We're doing the relapse
Grade 7.
relapse.
Behavioural loss of control.
We're doing the relapse. Mr. Beautiful Blues has got in touch saying, can we do a quiz tonight because he's not feeling very well this morning.
Oh, he's alright.
He's fine. He's had COVID.
COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And it's just knocked him for 6. So, like, he's requested it. So I said, we'll do a bit of a fun general knowledge one tonight.
Yeah. What? A druggy one, no? A drug addict one? How is one?
I thought we could just do something like normal living, you know, general knowledge. Because it is about normal living as well. But yeah, this is the relapse syndrome with Terence Gorski. So what this last one was about when your routine gets changed and stuff, and like how often do I bang on at you about routine?
Yeah. Oh, no.
And it is so important, guys. It sounds stupid, but it's usually the little things
I've been
that
awake for ages but didn't want to get out of bed, mate. I didn't know what to help myself because I didn't take the phone with me.
it's about them little things when you start like noticing all the little things that are like, oh, can't be bothered, blah blah blah. It's about pulling yourself back around and it takes effort, you know. And sometimes, especially when you're feeling them periods of deep depression, it is so hard to get out of bed and
It's like,
you know. But it's about, and you do feel better, believe it or not, because I know there's times when like I don't want to get out of bed, but when I do and start doing stuff, it makes me feel a lot better.
something more shenanigans on, mate.
I think achieving the smaller things, you know, it does lift you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even, especially if you're in them periods of deep depression, even if you can just get them basic things done, like have breakfast, dinner, and tea, and you know, wash the pots, you know, that's an achievement when you feel like that. And it's about celebrating them little things
Yeah, but how do people like us celebrate?
by buying a nice big cream cake or something.
Go on.
You know, whatever it is, you could, I don't know.
No, because when you say celebrate, though, people like us, babe, that's, I think, yeah, celebrate.
No, but it's about, you know, giving yourself that praise. Like, I'm really proud of myself today because I've managed to have 3 meals, you know, and acknowledge, you know, how difficult it was to even get out of bed and give yourself a pat on the back for that,
Yeah, man.
you know, because some days, like, them little things are so hard to do. And it's about really acknowledging, you know, the effort you put in and the way you're putting things back into perspective and trying to,
And put a disclaimer up.
yeah, it's pinned. It's pinned at the top.
So,
She's sorted, mate. She's doing it.
Oh. What the fuck's happening now?
Mrs. Forbes was on it like a carb on it this morning.
It's pinned there, look.
Okay.
She might not feel like
I just
it.
do
Really
this so it's better for us. Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, that'll have to do. Wait. I thought it went better.
See what I mean about the disruption starting?
I'm trying to make things better for you.
I've already had it. It's already done.
What do you mean? Fucking he's knocked my leg, I swear down, but I've got a big fucking stab mark. I mean, sorry about swearing. I've got a big stab mark in my leg, man. I thought, that's it, man, I'm not doing it.
No idea.
So, phase 7, behavioural loss of control. During this phase, the addict becomes unable to control or regulate personal behaviour.
What, is this before relapse, this?
Yeah,
Fucking hell, this has been me lately, this, you know.
I know.
I'm in phase 7. Do you go through all them phases? So you go phase 1, then you get phase 7. What's the last phase? I need to put myself back.
I know. So, behavioural loss of control. During this phase, the addict becomes unable to control or regulate personal behaviour and a daily schedule. There is still heavy denial and no full awareness of being out of control. Sorry, guys. Life becomes chaotic and many problems are created in all areas of life and recovery. Where's it gone?
I'll go for you.
I had to make it big so I could read it.
For fuck's sake.
If you're read, I've clicked that, that's why.
Do I want to read it?
If you're doing it on laptop, Mrs. Tubbs, you can actually blow it up so it's a bit bigger, the writing.
Yeah, but she's done it, and then what it is, so the
It
right
didn't fit on the page.
not fitting on the screen, man.
You just have to drag it over.
So life becomes chaotic and many problems are created in all areas of life and recovery. The most common symptoms are irregular attendance at fellowship and treatment meetings. The addict stops attending fellowship meetings regularly and begins to misschedule appointments for counselling or treatment. She finds excuses to justify this and doesn't recognise the importance of fellowship and treatment. She develops the attitudes of me in meetings and counselling aren't making me feel better, so why should I make it a number one priority? Other things are more important.
We should start doing about other things as well, you know.
Yeah, well, we can do a smart introduction meeting, breaking free online. It's just that Smoky Joe requested something on relapse.
I know. Is he here, Smarty?
Yeah.
Good morning, Jose. Let me see good morning, little people, man. Right, so names I can see. Smoky Joe's at the top. Good morning, John and Kendra. They're not as in. Good morning, Kid. Andy W, good morning. Ralphie Lad, and I've said good morning, Amanda. And Chris. Carry on. I don't know if there's more or no. But go on, I'm sorry, guys. Don't bring it over.
I was missing you till you came down. Development of an I don't care attitude. The addict tries to act as if she doesn't care about the problems that are occurring. This is to hide feelings of helplessness and growing lack of self-respect and self-confidence. Open rejection of help. The addict cuts self off from people who can help. She does this by having fits of anger that drive others away, by criticising and putting others down, or by quietly withdrawing from others. Dissatisfaction with life. Things seem so bad that the addict begins to think she might as well use because things couldn't get any worse. Life seems to have become unmanageable since the using stopped. Feelings of powerless and helplessness. The addict develops difficulty getting started, has trouble thinking clearly, concentrating and thinking abstractly, and feels that she can't do anything and begins to believe there is no way out. So yeah, that struck a chord with you, that one, didn't it?
No, I went to get this one because no one wouldn't do. I'm going to pin this on my Facebook. I don't even go this. There's loads of people on. Should I? I won't if you don't want me to.
It's up to you. But then we'll probably have loads of
Mongs. Not mongs, man.
But when you were reading that one, you said that was striking a nerve for you, didn't you?
No, I didn't say it's striking a nerve. I just identified that was me at the
Well,
moment with what's going on.
That's what I mean.
Oh, who's
Oh,
fucking
your
phoning me now? That's someone off YouTube, that because it's the old phone.
I think your mum's tried to phone.
Yeah, but man, I haven't got this number.
At least you got a coffee.
I know. It never ends. Never ends, does it?
No, it's the same here. Everybody always wants you when you're doing something.
Yeah, well,
I know.
I do.
YouTube, that.
You do.
Man has tried the phone. Oh no, it might not be. YouTube, it's my normal number. The phone I've just got back. Well, the SIM card. Oh, fuck it, I'll phone him back. I'll text all it is. Later.
Just answer.
Hello. I'm alright, mate. You? I'm having that. Oh, you?
Right. Phase 8. Recognition
Yeah.
of loss of control. The addict's denial breaks, and suddenly she recognises how severe the problems are, how unmanageable life has become, and how little power and control she has to solve any of the problems. This awareness is extremely painful and frightening. By this time, she has become so isolated there is no one to turn to for help, and the most common symptoms are self-pity. The addict begins to feel sorry for self and often uses self-pity to get attention at fellowship meetings or from family members. Thoughts of social using. The addict realises that drinking or using drugs would help her feel better and begins to hope that she can use normally again and be able to control it. Sometimes these thoughts are so strong that they can't be stopped or put out of mind. There is a feeling that drinking, using is the only alternative to going crazy or committing suicide. Drinking, using actually looks like the sane and rational alternative. Conscious lying. The addict begins to recognise the lying and denial and the excuse, but is unable to interrupt them. Complete loss of control. The addict feels trapped and overwhelmed by the inability to think clearly and take action. This feeling of powerlessness causes the belief that she is useless and incompetent. As a result, there is a belief that life is unmanageable. So you can see how these phases are getting more and more intense, and because it even says in there, that they become so overwhelmed with the situation, and they've kind of lost control by this point, and feeling like they can't turn to anyone, and it's difficult to see somebody like that. Big up, not her. Yeah, definitely. I said that to him loads of times, Andy W. That comedy sketch. Hello, I'm on a mobile. Drives me insane. You know, people can hear you when you talk normally, you know. You know, even when he's on the computer or something and I'm in bed, I can hear what he's saying word for word because he's that loud. It's ridiculous. So, phase 9, option reduction. During this phase, the addict feels trapped by the pain and inability to manage her life. There seems to be only 3 ways out: insanity, suicide, or drug use. She no longer believes that anyone or anything can help him or her. The most common symptoms are unreasonable resentment. The addict feels angry because of the inability to behave the way she wants to. Sometimes the anger is with the world in general, sometimes with somebody in particular, and sometimes with self. Infrequent or discontinued 12-step meeting attendance and or treatment. And even though it says 12 steps, I want everybody to kind of understand it's what works for you. This it's just because he's got a lot of experience on 12 steps, so it could be SMART, it could be breaking free, it could be Addiction Live, whatever you do for yourself and your recovery. If that starts slipping, you know, maybe stand back and ask yourself why. And if that route no longer works for you, try a different one. When a helping person is part of treatment, tension and conflict develop and become severe that the relationship usually ends. The addict drops out of professional counselling even though she needs help and knows it. Overwhelming loneliness, frustration, anger and tension. The addict feels completely overwhelmed. She believes there is no other way out except using, drinking, suicide or insanity. There are intense fears of insanity and feelings of helplessness and depression. So yeah, again, it is sad to see that happening, and you know, when people do kind of drop off the radar, it always fills me with dread, you know, because this is like mental health and addiction is life and death, and as much as we can have fun with it, it's important to remember, you know, where it can all take us, you know, or your family members or whoever, you know, that is the bottom line. You know, it could lead to death. You know, and I know a lot of people in the chat will be like me and will have known so many people that have lost their life due to either mental health issues or overdoses or, you know, whatever it may be, and it is so sad and so painful. Even misadventure while under the influence, you know, far too many that go before the time. So phase 10, acute relapse period. During this phase, the addict becomes totally unable to function normally. She may use drugs or alcohol or may become disabled with other conditions that make it impossible to function. And the most common symptoms are loss of behavioural control. The addict experiences more and more difficulty in controlling thoughts, emotions, judgments and behaviours. This progressive and disabling loss of control begins to cause serious problems in all areas of life. It begins to affect health and well-being. No matter how hard she tries to regain control, it is impossible to do so. Acute relapse period. The addict experiences periods of time when she is totally incapable to function normally. These periods become more frequent, last longer, and begin to produce more serious life problems. The relapse cycle is ended by a serious crisis which caused the person to become totally unable to function for a period of time due to one or more of the following. Degeneration of life areas. The addict may become unable to contribute to work, social, family, and intimate areas of life. As a result, all life areas suffer due to neglect. Drug or alcohol use. The addict may begin to use drugs or alcohol as a means to escape the pain and desperation. There may be an attempt to control using drinking by limiting the amounts or attempting one short-term binge. The ability to control using drinking is soon lost. This sometimes happens very quickly. Sometimes it occurs after a period of controlled using drinking. The addict returns to out of control using drinking with symptoms experienced during the last period of active use. Emotional collapse. The addict may become emotionally unable to function, may overreact, or may become emotionally numb, or cry, or fly in a rage for no reason at all. Physical exhaustion. It may become impossible for the addict to continue to function due to physical exhaustion. Stress and related illness. The addict may become physically sick due to the severe stress that has been occurring for a long period of time. Psychiatric illness. The addict develops a severe psychiatric illness such as psychosis, severe anxiety, or severe depression. The psychiatric illness may be so severe that it forces the addict into treatment. Suicide. The addict may become suicidal and may attempt or actually commit suicide. Oh, God. Went too far up then. Accident proneness. The addict may become careless and unable to take normal precautions in acts of living, result in a sequence of accidents. These accidents may take the form of car accidents, falls, burns, etc. Often the accidents are life-threatening or create serious injury. Disruption of social structures. The addict may be unable to maintain involvement in normal life activities and may become socially unable to function. So it's quite scary, isn't it? You know, where all this can where is Sundown?
I don't know. I think it must be an horse, whatever he's talking about.
Ah, right. I shall let Torbs know he's more for that child, and I'm sure he'll appreciate he's just gone to take a call. So, how does a member of a 12-step program use Gorski's phase of relapse to help prevent a relapse? So it says the warning signs described above contains a sequence of problems that lead from stable recovery to alcohol and drug use. And by reading and discussing these warning signs, relapsers develop a new way of thinking about things that happened during the past periods of abstinence that set them up to use. So really, rather than read all that, basically all it's saying is, like, now you know the relapse warning signs and the relapse syndromes. At any point, you know, you might be able to stop it in its tracks and pull yourself back and start doing what you stopped doing that kept you well. How you doing, Mark? And it is so important to continue to do your daily reflections on self and really develop that self-awareness, so you know when things are kind of off key a little bit. And as I say, it doesn't necessarily have to be 12-step meetings. It can be whatever you're doing to keep you well. So it could be things like Addiction Live, it could be SMART, it could be treatment services, it could be counselling, it, you know.
That car that you're on about there, right?
I think you've had a tip, Darren. Have I, Mrs. Tobbs?
I think he's on phone. Isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it then. He's on phone. He's not focused on you. He's on phone talking.
But I'll forget about that. Where's my pen? I'll have to write that down because I will forget.
Yeah, but the thing is it a top tip or not? That's what you need to think.
I don't know. We can look at it.
I've no idea. I'm not really into that sort of thing, so I couldn't say. Yeah, can't you put a bet on once he's won? Be great, wouldn't it? We'd all be at it. Oh, dear.
I'll
Morning,
trust
great
it down and
ladies.
then it's up to him what he does with the information. But at least I've passed it on.
Exactly. Morning,
Try-
Nigel. Hope you're well.
Nigel. Hope you're okay, Nigel. So yeah, what did we think of that then?
It's pretty deep in it in some respects about the, I think it's always about self-reflecting
Mm.
and sort of standing back and looking at, what's going on and reassessing things.
And for me, it's developing that self-awareness as well to know what's normal for you, because it is difficult as well because a lot of what they're saying is depression and stuff. Now, if you suffer from depression anyway, it might be difficult to realise that. So for me, it'd be like if anything's off kilter with that, if that makes sense. Is there anything going on that's not like your normal symptoms that you have? And obviously, there are a lot of people out there who already have them underlying mental health issues. So again, is it magnified? Is it worse? Is there anything slightly different than what you normally experience? And once you really kind of know yourself, you'll be able to pick up on them quite easily. And if you start pulling away from things that are working for you, it's about asking yourself why. Why do I feel the need to do that? And if I do need to do that, what other positive thing am I going to replace it with? Because sometimes people, what works for somebody in early recovery might not work for them later on down the line. But it's important that you replace it with something else that's just as positive rather than nothing. And always make sure like I don't go to my own recovery meetings anymore, but I still do the things like the gratitude lists and the self-reflection and helping others and all them bits that really do work for me. I apologise when I'm wrong. I try and look at my behaviour all the time to make sure I'm not like treating others badly, and so it's about developing all these skills and finding what works for you, because we're all individuals and what works for me might not work for Amanda. What works for Nutter might not work for Nigel. It's about what I suggest to people is try everything and find what's the best fit for you. I feel shattered after reading all that.
I think it is, though, isn't it? Trying to take it all in. There's a lot of information, a lot of things there.
But as I say, I think most people on here are on the Discord anyway. I will get round to uploading that in the resource section, because there are lots of things in there to have a look at. And I think it's always good, when you go over things in a group, to have a read of it and do that reflection on your own anyway. Sometimes I'd like, if something really hit a nerve with me, I'd stick it on the fridge or something, so I'd be reminded all the time. And that helped, especially in the early days when things, I didn't even mean to do that. and I've completely lost my train of thought.
You
Oh,
were
well,
like sticking things on the fridge. Can you imagine all these post-it notes all over your house?
but it's what works, you know.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't have to be everything, but you know, them ones that really resonate with you. You know, especially in like the early days when you're still really unsure, and it is good to have them reminders. You know, or inside of the cupboard, or you know, wherever it may be. I know some people get one of them ring binders and fill it up with all these different things, and you know, recovery focus things, so they can have a reminder. You know, whenever they need it.
I think that'd be good though to look back and see how far you've come from start to the
Yeah.
finish. Or
I know when I went to rehab, I started. I just got a notepad and started writing like a diary, and I've never really done a diary before, and it was bizarre, you know, because at the very start I was so full of anger and bitterness and blah blah blah, and writing pages and pages of shite basically. And then towards the end, I was only writing like a tiny bit about how great everything is and how I'm getting on well with everyone, and it's like, so it kind of, you know, what them early things were a bit too painful. So in the end, I let it go and chucked it out. But you know, it was just bizarre seeing how I used to think compared to how I ended up thinking in around 5 months. It was ridiculous. But,
The
yeah, it
thing
was,
is like building a wall, isn't it? You do it brick by brick, and if you imagine taking a photograph after every brick, then that's your progress.
yeah. But yeah, it was, you know, when you read back and you're like, ooh, makes you cringe.
you can imagine.
Friggin' anything really was really like that.
But again, you know, that's the thoughts and feelings and whatever else at that moment in time, and you can see yourself develop as time goes on.
I was very, very angry. I was a very angry person, very bitter, and it was mad. Because I can't think, you know, when I look at myself now, it's hard to imagine that I was ever that angry. It's mad. But at the time, I didn't think I was angry because I associated anger with violence.
Yeah, but
You
I
know,
think a lot of people would associate anger with violence, and it's, you know, you can be angry in other ways.
yeah.
So that's someone else or yourself, or
See, I think a lot of mine was towards myself, but I always thought because I don't go around beating everyone up, I'm not an angry person.
yeah,
And it's mad, you know, when you actually realise that that doesn't necessarily always mean anything, you know. But there you go. Yeah, it was quite funny. So yeah, anybody in early recovery, I do recommend that, like keeping a bit of a journal to follow your progress, because it is quite good, you know, in them first years to really look back on it at how much you've grown and developed as a person. Um,
We've always got a choice.
so yeah, I was just seeing Denmark. There is going to be a quiz tonight, 8 p.m. I think I'm just going to do general knowledge this time, because as much as mental health and addiction's good, I think it's also good to do other things as well, you know, because that'll bring us more together as like our own little unit. Morning.
Lisa.
Hope you're okay. And I'm so glad that this has become like a nice chilled out place now. I didn't know if it would be after that first one. I thought, oh my god, what am I doing? But it's actually turned out
Good.
quite chilled and relaxed, which is what I wanted.
Yeah,
It
man,
makes people feel a lot safer then, doesn't it?
Don't worry me. I brought out the big guns with a big ever wrench.
He's all right. He's on the phone for now. He'll probably come in and be disruptive again in a minute. But yeah, I think that's just what we need to do in this group. Anybody with a spanner, just get rid.
It's not about any drama or anything else, this is just for
Exactly.
Mrs. Tubbs' Addiction Live, and obviously to help and support people along the way.
And obviously there's a difference between people like trying to get something across about how they're feeling, and it might sound negative, but like them direct insults and stuff like that, I want to keep that away. And same with I had to tell Torbs off the other day for having other things on here, so I made him come off here to do all that, because it's not fair. We need to keep this, specifically for that. Obviously, if I upload daft videos of the dogs or whatever, then I can cope with that. That's harmless, But when it comes to drama and stuff, I don't want none of that other stuff on here.
No, that's stomach and that main proper thing. No, forget that.
Oh, you do now, Ninja. Just give Ninja a spanner as well, because he's in quite often.
Well, I don't get involved in drama and whatever else, personally.
I thought Nigel had one as well, but he didn't answer.
I don't know.
Been a bit tired of these spanners, haven't I? I think it was on the first time. I just put a few on just because we were getting bombarded.
Yeah, maybe they weren't in at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
Nutter's a busy man,
I know.
He's come back home, he's been chucking pots about, as though they're going out of fashion. He's juggling everything.
So yeah, I've made a few more of your mods now. We were in quite frequently. See, you can't tell when you're on the laptop because everybody's just the same colour. So I've just gone through on my phone there. But yeah, any of that, as I say, it is important to remember that this is a addiction and mental health group. So there will be some people that maybe struggle to communicate what they're feeling properly. So it's about filtering them out as well, because I don't want people who are coming here asking for help. It's like yesterday at first I was thinking, was Chris a troll with his first comment? Because I think he said I'm smashed, and I thought, well, I'll see what he says next, before I do anything. And it turned out he was kind of coming here for help.
Oh yeah, I did that too. I thought, now what have we got here?
Yeah. So I thought I'll keep an eye on that one, but it turned out he was in the right place to come and get some support and help. So I think it's important that if it's a direct insult to any of us, or you can tell, or any of them bot things and stuff, just get rid straight away. Yeah, but I don't like the drama either. It's good, innit?
I switch over for that. I can't be dealing with it. I don't get involved. I don't know full so I'll leave it there.
You see, this is my dining room plus my ironing room, because when I'm doing all my ironing, I'll put it in different piles on the table and blah, blah, blah. So the iron just stays on my little windowsill, and I've got my ironing water here as well.
It's funny that catapult kiddie, but at some point I didn't own an iron because somebody kept stealing it for other things. So I've had to buy another iron, but I only iron when I need to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'll stick it all in dryer, and then I get it out when it's done, and then I fold it all up, and jobs are good and usually. unless it's something like a shirt or something. And then I might think about ironing it, but I don't iron no bedding or any of that malarkey. It's too much hassle. I used to at one time, but I can't stand for that long anymore.
See, for me, I'll buy clothes that don't really need ironing.
Yeah, I look out for them too. That's always a bonus, you know what I mean?
Torb and
Definitely.
Kingston iron everything, even tracky bottoms, and I'm like, why? Why?
Tracky bottoms now. Can you imagine burning the mark in those?
It's he did that with his brand new ones at Christmas. It was like they didn't even need ironing, but he wanted to iron them. Didn't tell us he was ironing them. Next thing you know, he's burnt a hole in them, and he's
Oh,
fuming. And I'm like, well, what are you ironing them for? Because it was that dodgy material as well.
yeah.
I can understand them more like not wool, but cottony type ones because they can look terrible if they haven't been ironed. But
You've got
you know,
legs off
them,
into
He'll have to chop legs off and make them into shorts.
Kingston's a proper snob when it comes to clothes. It's ridiculous. Got a new pair of trainers off his Uncle Dan. £150 trainers, may I add. And he decided he was going to do some gardening in his brand new trainers because he didn't want his friends to see him in his old ones that they've seen him in 1,000,001 times, and it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, sounds quite familiar, that actually. That's like my son, he'd do something like that. Not because of what his friends think, it's just that that's the ones that he wears. It's hard work trying to reprogram him to wear the old ones
Yeah,
because he associates the new ones.
it
He's
is. It's
autistic,
ridiculous.
so it's hard work. He has to have a full-on routine. If he's not in that routine, that's it. It's mayhem. Absolute mayhem. It's took me years to finally get to that point.
You see, what I'd do, T, is just hang them up, and they don't really need steaming or ironing at all. But I think he's if there's a slight little crease in it, he wants it ironed, and it's like ridiculous. Oh, thank you. Call me anything, and I
Yeah.
hope you enjoyed it. I'm quite surprised that we got through the whole worksheet actually, because when Torbs was trying to do it with me and Gamer jumped on, we got to phase 3, and there was about 10, wasn't there? So, and I was on the live for like 2 hours, and I was like, oh, I'll give up.
I'm not that disruptive, only on occasions. Thank you, call me anything. Got to support Mrs. Torbs. She felt a bit lonely up there, so I thought I'd come in as a temporary wingman.
It's mad, isn't it, how different we can feel when we're kind of on our own. You know, even though, like, as soon as he come down, he was frustrating the hell out of me. Can't
And I
win.
can tell. You got a coffee, though. That's a bonus.
I know. But I
Good
kept
thing
losing
you're
my
both
train
empty
of
now.
thought and losing where I was, and I'm like, oh, God, will you just shut up?
They'll probably buy you a new kettle for Christmas.
Yeah, you'll probably get a new kettle for Christmas or your birthday or something, you know what I mean?
Probably. Although I've just bought myself a nice new kettle.
Oh, that's all right then. You don't need one then.
Yeah, I wanted it to match the new kitchen. Plus, we hadn't had our old one that long, but for some reason, the black paint started to come off it, and like, it didn't matter how much you cleaned it, it just had all these little spots on it, you know, where the paint had come off.
All right.
I got myself one of them stainless steel ones, but it's like copper at the bottom. It's very nice. And I got the matching tea, coffee, and sugar canisters as well, you know, to try and make it look nice.
Yeah, cool.
Because our kitchen before was tiny, like proper tiny, and you couldn't do anything in it. So I thought, right, new kitchen. I did have all these intentions of starting to bake again and everything, but I haven't got around to that yet. Maybe one day.
Yeah. Thing is, though, when you start baking, I don't know, you seem to sort of eat it all and then put on more weight, so I stopped for a bit. You
See,
know what
I
I mean?
like cooking and baking and stuff, but I think for me at the minute it's just finding the time.
Well, yeah, you're a busy lady, aren't you? You know, working and what have you, and doing your lives, and then obviously you've got other things to do, and in
Uh,
normal everyday life, it's hard to find time.
I think I might
Yeah,
start looking for a job closer to home.
yeah,
Just because the travelling is it's ridiculous. And it didn't
that,
used to bother me that much, but then since I started working from home in the lockdown, I've really started noticing it now. How little time I have due to the travelling,
yeah. That in
especially
itself could be a nightmare, can't it? Do you know what I mean? It's not
especially
just an 8 hour day, is it? It's like, it turns into a 10, 12 hour day with the extra travelling or whatever.
well, if I have to get public transport, it's an extra 4 hours on my day.
Yeah, it's a lot of time in it just in travel alone. Time you get there, you're knackered.
And it was getting to like after dinner, and I was like falling asleep, and I thought, and I've been having a few issues with one of my managers, so I'm thinking, I've been there a long time. Is it time for me to move on now? Because I don't know, it's not the job I signed up for anyway. The focus has become more on the paperwork side of it than the clients, and I don't like that. It doesn't sit right with me.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of these jobs are also more paperwork based than anything else.
I think
Um, you
could
know,
even
it's like,
get a job in the supermarket. Now I'm doing this because I still get to use my skill set to help people. Because, like, that's just becoming a job rather than a vocation, which is what it used to be.
yeah,
It's more. I spend more time sat at my computer desk typing than I do talking to the people, and it's not right. So I can just apply for a job. I don't know, even at a supermarket or something, because I'll probably still be better off with the cost of travelling that I'm spending anyway.
yeah.
And then like put my efforts into this for helping people. I don't know. Food for thought.
Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out and what's best for you at the end of the day. Well,
Torbs has
somebody's
suggested
making, sorry.
I book a couple of weeks off and do some reflecting and decide what I want to do, and take it from there.
He's making corned beef pie and a big chocolate cake today with cream. I
Oh,
could eat any of that. I'm not really keen on corned beef pie.
I'm
And I
not keen
don't
on
do
beef pie,
chocolate
but the
cake.
cake sounds nice.
I
And
can't do chocolate
I
cake.
always have to have cream with my cake. Torbs always has to have custard. He has loads of custard, and I have cream.
Oh, I don't use it there. Chris is the same. Everything that he has to have custard on it like that.
Yeah, Torbs.
It's like when you make a trifle, you have to have extra custard. You know what I mean? It's like 4 inches thick, the whole lot of custard around it. In fact, you'd just be quite happy with just bowls and bowls of custard.
I think Torbs would actually,
You know,
but yeah, for me it's double cream.
The bananas and custard.
oh yeah, bananas and custard. He likes that and all. Oh god, drives me nuts. I can't even associate banana with custard. I can eat the banana and eat custard, but I can't put them together. It just, it's a texture thing, I think.
Yeah, see, for me, I'm not a big custard fan. I can eat it, but it's not something I'd choose if there was a different option.
I must admit, Catapult, I'm probably more savoury than puddings.
Hey,
Cheesecake. You see, I like chocolate, but I only like milk chocolate. Can't do dark chocolate. White
Yeah,
chocolate,
horrible.
sorry. And I
I
can't
like
eat chocolate
chocolate.
cakes. It's too strong.
It depends on the chocolate cake. Now, this lady at work does these amazing chocolate cakes from, I think it's an Argella recipe.
All right, yeah.
It's vegan, but you wouldn't know it was vegan. So I love it when she does
I
that.
think
Yeah,
I think I
steak
made one of them.
all the way.
I had steak last night, but I forgot about it because I was on the live and I burnt it.
Oh, nightmare.
Yeah, I thought I'd turned it down, but I hadn't. It was still, at that point of searing it. It was well seared. Oh well, never mind.
Right. So, guys, shall we kind of end it now? And we'll jump back on at 8 o'clock for a quiz.
Sounds a plan.
And then I can go and do some housework and whatnot and take it from there. Because we've been on like just over an hour and a half anyway, haven't we? So,
Yeah. And if Tubbs finishes on phone, that's it. You're going to be another 3 hours.
exactly. So, I may as well use it to my advantage.
I like your thinking.
And I have got a few things that I need to do around the house today. I've put the uniforms in already. You need to hang them out and get all the floors and that mopped and whatnot. So
Busy day.
I will say goodbye to you all now and have a lovely day. And I will see you at 8 o'clock, hopefully, for our quiz night. And thanks for jumping on, Amanda. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome anytime, Mrs. Tubbs. Got to give you some support there and give you a bit of a wingman. But
Brilliant.
enjoy your day. Take care of yourselves.
And
everybody
you.
else in the chat. Thanks very much. I'll jump off and I'll catch you a little bit later at 8 o'clock.
All right. See you later, Amanda. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic day. Look after each other, and I will hopefully see you all later. Bye.